did you learn how to talk like a Dawi in my previous video? Well, now it's time to learn how to roleplay the perfect dwarf. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Achaidh Cheide, welcome to Rogue Eruption, and we are going to be going through how to roleplay a dwarf. This could apply to Warhammer, this could apply to any of the lovely fantasy tabletop roleplay games out there, or any other reason in life you are trying to roleplay a dwarf. But D&D fans, Warhammer Fantasy fans, this should hopefully be a little bit of fun. I'll be doing as much as I can in accent, aside from this brief introduction. As well as that, I would emphasise you don't need to sound like a Dawi in order to portray an accurate picture of a dwarf. The more important thing is that you play your character consistently and live up to the trope, or create your own little sub-trope and character intricacies as you wish. But I think I've done a fairly good job of narrowing down the dwarven archetype. To kick things off, we're going to start with the word pride. Pretty much everything that falls under this makes the dwarf what he is. Pride in everything. If ever you just need to very quickly ask yourself, what would my character do in a situation? I'd ask myself, what would Achaidh do? It'd probably do what a proud character would do. Now, let's break this down into some subcategories. I've broken it down into 3 C's. To start off with, we're going to talk about clan. Because my cousin Achaidh used to do this, and if only Achaidh could see me. There's a reason Bardin within Vermintide 2 bangs on about Achaidh all the time. That is because your family or your clan within roleplay games, within this world that we are talking about right now, is an extension of yourself. Your family is you. When someone insults your family, they insult you. When someone praises your family, they're talking about you. You identify as being part of this clan. Very, very important that you roleplay it both ways. So it's not just, my cousin Achaidh got ripped off by him once, I'm not going to give him a penny. It's not just that. It's not just grudges. Grudges are easy to remember. We all know that dwarfs can be stubborn, fine. Dwarfs can be fiercely loyal as well, if you're on their good side. But I think the most fun thing to roleplay about a dwarf is to talk about your family members. Have a few. Have a good few in the backstory. Make it interesting. Did I tell you about my cousin Gimli? He owned a tavern in the middle of the Mines of Moria and he served a Balrog. You can do whatever you like, but just have someone you can talk about every now and again, or just make one up on the spot. It could be, my third cousin twice removed once moved a rock from here to over there. It was very fascinating. Do what you like, but I promise you this, talk about your family a lot and you will sound a lot more like a dwarf. Moving on from this, we have craftsmanship. Craftsmanship is essential for dwarfs, and I'm not talking just about making a weapon. This pistol's clearly of Dawi construction. Looks reliable. It could be far more grandiose than this. You call this a mine? It's just a bunch of rocks stacked on top of each other. Talk about construction of anything, because remember, dwarfs are a race of industry. Really, just think about Yorkshire. Anything that you produce, chances are you produce all day. It's what your craft and your trade is. Therefore you take pride in it, because dwarfs, pride, proud. Remember, if you were a miner, anything to do with mining, from the picks, to the carts, to the rails, to the mineshaft itself, you would be either impressed by or disgusted by, depending on its quality. So this is something incredibly good for the budding role player. Anytime you walk into a tavern, well, you call this a tavern? It's only got 3 tables. You could go with anything, but criticise and praise, intermittently, randomly, depending on what things are, and you will sound so much more like a dwarf. And remember, it could be a spoon, it could be crockery, it could be anything. But pretty much every dwarf that has ever existed will have a trade. In the Warhammer universe, at least, all of them will have done some mining at some point, so they will know the basics of stonework, masonry, and that sort of thing. It's almost a conscription for them. Now, moving on from here, we have the third of the C's, which is character. Now, character, very, very important, your own and others. Again, for good and for bad. By this, we go with making a promise. I'm not going to break a promise, not even to a Welgie. as well as that, you could have the grudges. You hate someone because of their character. You could be deeply suspicious of people because of, I'm not talking to him, he looks far too fishy. I'm not talking to a bloody Helgi. That's more about the grudges, but either way, you have to judge people and make stereotypes and quick, harsh, rash decisions and be a little bit on the grumpy side when in any doubt. Pride. It all comes back to pride. Because some people have slighted you, some people are likely to slight you, but once they're your friend, you will be fiercely loyal, you will be a Labrador and doing anything to defend them. Now we move to the smaller little decorative bits of fluff for dwarfs. Coin. Coin, if you're a Tolkienite, then probably coin is going to be a little, too much coin, I'll go a bit mad. Maybe, maybe not. I think at the very least when it comes to spending money, dwarfs will be a little more stringent than some of the other races. You may not lavishly throw around coins whenever you go into a tavern. Someone asks you to borrow money, you would probably want a signature, a name, and to put it in a book and a ledger, and have a specific date in mind that they fancy paying it back. You notice I've done a lot of Scottish Dwarf today. I think it's because I was watching some Lord of the Rings the other day. Either way, Balcosnocre. There we go, back to Northland. What was I talking about? Money, that's right. So money, best to be tight with it, really. Best to be tight. Is it a northern stereotype? It probably is for the Scottish, but they're actually quite generous people. Either way, it's a good trope to follow. Next, we move on to beards. It is a symbol of your age. Age for a dwarf is a good thing. If you've lived longer, chances are you know more. You respect your elders. You're not like the rebellious youth of today. Elders need respect. And a beard is not just a sign of your age, but you could sort of mix that in with authority as well, due to this sort of relationship with age. So if you see someone with a small beard, it's just a young little beardling. Not going to listen to him. Doesn't even know how to pull a pint. Have a little think about it. Keep an eye on beards. That's not a bad beard, Ungie. Another 12 inches and you might as well call yourself a Dawi. Keep an eye on beards. They are your best friend as a dwarf. Guys and girls, I think that is pretty much all I have to say on dwarfs for now.